Leero bwakya bakamba mu kyalo ky'esu kya Zambia ekyaweka enjoy. Abantu baafa bakamba kulya mu nfumbwe. More than 20 people baleba epati ni babiri. Bagamba. Fish twarufyanye. People have died. Mumino yabakapokola. The police killing people. Why? In the same government, Bagamba, abductions have happened. Bagamba, if you're not with them, it's either you're dead or you're in prison. This government, you're going to change big man. Fish to Arfianya Pakubika Moves. Fish to Arfianya. Why me? Missing. Achani Ruba Mwaicho and Dizona. Where is why me? HH, tell us with your government, where is why me? Give us why me. Justice for why me, big man. Wachila mo HH. Wala tupwisha bega kutupwisha Bagamba. That's why they get kulanda big man. My youth, my batata. Zambia tuwasevana. Bagamba. Wanesa tuwakweni. Mujala chetu. Ichi ya Zambia. Tuamona mwepwa. Bagamba. Tuamona mwepwa. Nama abductions Bagamba. Muteko toaleta Madulete lama Amazara mush No you kateka Kola ipompa tureka No you kateka Apa nomba bane Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Wakuvota bane Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Wakufuatika Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Wakufuatika fuatika Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Wenyu daya kwa fwe Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Aikona man Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Idaya kwa fwe Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Yakuri ati kwenyu Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Mayona batata Mayona batata Bayuthi Twisuli amenso batusendela nomba batwipaila na hope yesu endika chagwa lungu watubela tinali mikwatila plan B nomba tuwalishima plan B abamumino yakwalesa bantu banga abalafa mu kyalo kyesu kya Zambia nibanga abantu abala ababducted mu kyalo kyesu kya Zambia bambire kuli jeje banda nibanga abantu abala ba mu prison abena chitotela chilangwa wonze baba prison netunguru shina shimbi muri one government ya kwa HH abantu naba bamweleza aikata nomba baikata na kuyetika chakwa lungu atukwatile plan B abakubo byavyo mufulo big man mufulo pa mufulo bilabine batsendela yetika chakwa apa nomba bane mufulo pa mufulo mufulo pa mufulo bakuvota bane mufulo pa mufulo mufulo pa mufulo bakufuatika mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Bakufuatika fuatika Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Wenyu daya kwa fwe Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Aikona man Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Idaya kwa fwe Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo Yakuri ati kwenyu Mufulo pa mufulo Mufulo pa mufulo HH does not mean well for Mother Zambia. Zambia to Asebana, this is not the Mother Zambia that we were left with by our ancestors, our forefathers who fought so hard to liberate us. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Nalumino Mundia, Mama Julia Chikamoneka, Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe, they fought so hard to put this country on the map, to put this country where it is today. No man would destroy this country because we believe in unity. One Zambia, one nation, and we shall together we will change, and we are going to change this government. My name is Blaze Zambia.
Good evening and welcome to today's broadcast. We are glad that you've joined us. It's yet another program to help develop our country, help unite our country, help shape conversation that, help bring development to our country. We are privileged, greatly privileged, that we are hosting New Heritage Party President, Mama Chishala Kateka, very resolute woman. She'll be with us to discuss, first of all, the state of our country. Secondly, the role of the opposition in the current crisis. Are they the solution? And lastly, her prospects and preparations for 2026 as a party and the efforts they are making in the opposition. You'll be able to join us. The line is there for you to call us. Let me invite Honorable Chishala Kateka to join me. Welcome to today's program, and thank you that you have made the effort.
Thank you so much for having me on your program.
Wonderful. How's the party? How have you been doing?
We are okay. We are doing all right. These are days when it's very, very crucial to build our various parties so that we prepare for 2026. And that's what we are doing.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I don't need to repeat, the state of the country is something you are worried as an opposition leader. It's a reason you are engaged in politics to attempt to bring solutions to our country. You stepped out of a lucrative private sector and sacrificed your time, your resources, and just literally your life in trying to change our mother Zambia, how it can be better. You probably now have been made by frustrations of actually participating in politics and a woman in politics. Just speak to that before we delve into the serious issues.
So, as you've rightly said, I was in the corporate world, and I decided to step into politics. Now, having said that, most people think that I stepped into politics in 2021. I actually didn't. I had joined Heritage Party in 2001, many years ago, and I've been working in the background. Because of my work, I couldn't be seen to be working in politics. You know what Zambian politics is like. As soon as they know you are in a position, they kick you out. So I used to work in the background. Now, in 2019, Brigadier General Mianda deregistered the Heritage Party, and I felt that our party, there's a role that our party plays, which we have not yet fulfilled. So I felt that we needed to step back into the political arena, which we did. Now, at that time, I was sitting, I had retired. I was CEO at Zamnet, and I was just sitting on boards and committees. I was chairing the Competition Commission. I was also chairing Barclays, which became ABSA. I was sitting on an insurance company and various other. Now, that was okay for me, but it wasn't benefiting anybody else. Do you see what I mean? I was doing that for me, and I really wanted to add value to this nation. I wanted to do something that would make a difference. I've always felt that Zambia is potentially a happening country, but we are like, you know, people who go into the D zone when playing soccer and they fail to score, always fail to score. And I want to be one of the people that will contribute to the well-being of this country. And that's why I gave up what I was doing and stepped into the political arena. And it's been a very interesting journey. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Quite difficult, but interesting. And I'm glad that you've weathered up the storm very well. You've weathered up the storm very well, and you've been sailing, from, many people saw your activities in the 2021 elections, and now you are preparing for 2026. Give us a perspective of the state of the country. President Hakainde Hichilema was voted in 2021, with a lot of hope that was going to repair the economy, restore the economy, that was going to restore the rule of law, that he was going to respect rights and freedoms of citizens and the opposition. He was going to grow democracy, allow civil society to operate freely. But alas, what seems to have happened is a total reverse. If you look at issues of the constitution in the manner that he wanted to amend the Republican constitution, in the manner that he has not allowed, for example, laws like the Public Order Act, which he had said he would repeal, they remain in place. The enactment of new laws like the Cyber Crimes and Cyber Security Act, and also the implementation of old laws, for example, that has seen nearly all opposition leaders in court for just offenses against speech. Then the state of the country, the country subjected to load shedding. Now we are going into 3 years dedicated load shedding against our people. And it's just been difficult for small businesses, companies, even political parties like yourself to operate, because you have to run on genset, which is very expensive. And when ZESCO comes, it's not reliable. Just give us a view of the state of the country from your perspective and from New Heritage Party's perspective.
I think that our country, this is the best that we have ever had. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because when the UPND won the elections, even though some of us were not confident that this was the right party, we hoped against hope that things would improve. I mean, I'll be quite frank with you. At the time, I thought to myself, why am I doing this? These people have now come in, they are going to make a difference. I think that was the expectation of a lot of Zambians. It's unfortunate that we have to have this conversation, which is so painful for Zambians. When you look at what is on the ground, here's the telling point. When, people will say, look, the macroeconomic indicators are showing that there's X% of growth, and, the foreign exchange rate is coming down slightly, fuel prices are coming down slightly, but the proof of the pudding is what the common man, the person on the ground, those of us that are not in government are experiencing. When I go into the supermarket, what do I come away with? The food basket is circa above 11,000 kwacha for a family of 5. Where are they going to get the money? There are no jobs. You look at the cost of living is extremely high. These are all factors that we all know, that it's on the ground. So it's like rubbing salt into a wound. So, we are talking about this. You've discussed this a lot of times. And it's something that everybody is very aware of what is happening. So even though the fuel price have come down a little bit, they are nowhere near where the UPND found them. Fuel was at 17. It's now at, is it 23, 28? Yeah. Milli meal is still high. Commuter fees are still high. A 2 kg bag of sugar is almost 70 kwacha. Who does that? You know? So at the end of the day, like I said, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The other thing that maybe I would like to touch on, which is probably more disappointing, is the fact that when somebody promised that they would do this, they actually start doing something else. This issue of the Constitution amendment was a shock to all of us because of the manner in which it was being done. I don't know whether I should be using past tense, whether it's still going on. But to try and amend the Constitution in the manner in which it was done, you know, bulldozing whatever they were trying to do was really not the way we should be going as Zambia. In fact, we've been taken backwards for so many years. When I looked at that constitutional making process, firstly, there was no consultation. And people came up with what they thought should be included in there, and everybody was saying, where did this come from? They were going to delimitate the constituencies and the wards based on a report by ECZ, which I would love to talk about a bit later on. But ECZ made this report, which was not made public. And then they put things in there that most of us said no. The opposition were against it, the church were against it, civil society were against it, but they were still bulldozing their way through it. Fortunately, Honorable Munia Zulu and one other had taken the case to court, and the Constitutional Court said this is unconstitutional. And that's what slowed it down. Even though Madam Speaker said she was going to overlook that. So we have a situation in Zambia where people think that they are prefects, you know, where you own this country. Instead of taking it as stewards, they think that they can just bulldoze their way through it. And that is what we as opposition are fighting against, and which is why we would like to come together to work together.
Yeah, the role of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, we've just touched on it. There are various concerns. First of all, from the onset, when the president appointed the commissioners led by Mama Mwangala Zalumis and McDonald Chipenzi, there was fierce opposition because for the first time, the Electoral Commission of Zambia was being led not by a judge, because, you know, previously, since it was created, the commission has been led by High Court judge or Supreme Court judge. In fact, the outgoing judge was a Supreme Court judge, Judge Esau Chulu. They got a lawyer, a Lusaka renowned lawyer, but her association with the UPND was so deep that you as the opposition raised concerns because there was no way she was going to reign and direct guide that institution in a neutral manner. And we have seen since, for example, in the manner they've treated with the opposition party, the Patriotic Front, that the neutrality of ECZ is being doubted to deliver a free and fair elections. What do you think should be done? Should we allow Mwangala Zalumis, McDonald Chipenzi to take us to election? Is there something the opposition can do to change the status quo?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, the concern there obviously is what you have raised. You know, there are so many issues, so interconnected, that sometimes you don't even know where to start. Firstly, the president has too much power. And one of the things we are saying as opposition is when we get in 2026, the person who is going to be president must agree to the reduction of that power, because it creates problems like ECZ. Now, you can't have one person appointing judges, ECZ, and all those positions. At ECZ itself, the president appoints the commissioners and also appoints the DG, the CEO. Now, the president is a player just like me, okay? I'm in opposition, he's the president now. When the president makes the appointment, it's like Mufulira Wanderers is playing in Kana, and then Mufulira Wanderers, they choose the judges, they choose the referee, the linesmen, and then they choose the grounds, and then they pay the linesman and the referee. Is that going to be a fair game? It obviously will not be, because the linesman and the referee, they owe their allegiance to Mufulira Wanderers. So I'll talk about New Heritage Party because we wrote to the Minister of Justice, we also wrote to ECZ and brought that issue out. You see, ECZ in its current form is not capable of ensuring that we have free and fair elections. If we think that we are going to have free and fair elections in 2026, then we are being naive, very naive, and we have to do something about it. So we wrote to the Minister of Justice, by then it was Honorable Haimbe, and stated that, in fact, we gave an option of what we thought should happen, and that is we should have other parties also being represented there. And Cornelius Mwitwa called me, I don't know, I can't remember what he called me, that it was not possible, but it's very possible. Because in other countries, you do have other players being part of that process, because that's the only way you can have a balanced position. Needless to say, we did get a response from the Minister of Justice, and he actually asked us to make a suggestion, but that was the last we heard from them. We never heard from them again. But I think that going forward, this is something that as opposition, collectively, we must push for. We cannot go into the elections with this current crop of commissioners because the battle will have been lost even before we get to the elections.
Yeah, I think you need to consult amongst yourself, probably bring more concerted efforts to make it an agenda of the coming election, that the commissioners shouldn't, in the current commissioners of concern, I think we have nothing against them. They are proper good Zambians and they've excelled in their own way, but their neutrality in this case is doubted, and they are deemed that they can't deliver a free and fair election. That concern must be attended to.
And by the way, the CEO was also appointed by the president. Now you remember, this is the gentleman who used to work at ECZ before and was caught in the computer room trying to do some hanky-panky for UPND. So how on earth can we entrust the elections to such a crew.
I don't know how I forgot about that. In fact, the biggest concern is that the chief electoral officer is a person who lost his job on disciplinary matters because he was attempting to, to change literally results. And he's an IT expert, very well trained IT expert. And he attempted to abuse his role at the ECZ to then, that was in the 2016 elections, to then attempt to manipulate results. There was even a court case, but because he's a professional and management felt they could just do an out-of-court settlement, he was never pursued. But now you can imagine, one who attempted to manipulate results for UPND is now in charge of the election machinery. So I think we should always include him in that matter. Efforts of the opposition. Clearly the picture has been painted. The dictatorship of President Hakainde Hichilema is failing policies at resolving the economic crisis. The shift by Zambian is coming to you, the opposition. They are saying, can you provide leadership? Can you give us a leader? Or can you give us a movement which will be party to unseat the UPND? What are you doing about that? Maybe let's begin the debate.
Okay, so thank you so much for that question because I think it's very important. You see, let's start not with the opposition, but with the nation of Zambia. Our nation is in dire straits. It's in serious problems, and to get it out of problems does not require a superstar. We always have somebody who comes and says, oh, so-and-so will fix it. The problems that we have require all our minds put together. So a number of us have looked at the situation in Zambia, and we would really like to see a difference. We would like to come up with solutions. In fact, we've been thinking through these solutions for Zambia so that we can come out of this problem that we have. But in order for us to come up with these solutions, not to come up with the solutions, in order to be able to put in place these solutions, changing certain laws, changing certain policies so that Zambians can begin to benefit from what we have as a nation, we need to be in government, okay? So the purpose of our coming together, the primary purpose of coming together is we need to form this government that of people, like-minded people that can work together to put in place the solutions that we have been discussing as opposition for Zambia so that we can begin to move forward. We haven't been moving forward. Our primary reason for coming together is not to kick out the UPND. That is, they just happen to be in the way of what we need to do for Zambia. Because if we don't kick them out, we can't do what we are aiming to do. So a number of parties, we have been talking and continue to talk and continue to meet. And we have been meeting for a number of months. We've been having joint pressers, joint statements, and continue planning. Now, I know that everybody's talking about who will be the flag bearer. Here's what we thought to ourselves. The important thing, the first thing we wanted to do was to bring us together. Okay, the second thing that we need to do is to come up with a plan of development or whatever it is that we are going to do for this nation. the various solutions that we want to put in place. And then the third thing is to find a person that can run with the plan that we have come up with. If we do it the other way around and we find a person, in Zambia, you find this person and then suddenly we will all start fighting to be close to this person, mkwai, whatever this person says goes. So our thinking has been that we must come up with our solutions for this country, because that is what is going to help this nation. Then find this person who we see the suitability to be able to implement this plan. And that's what we are working towards. And I know that Zambians want us to do very quickly, and we are moving as fast as we can. And I don't think that they'll have long to wait for us to come up with all of that. Because you see, we don't want to start making promises that we cannot keep. But when the plan is in place, then all of us will be able to speak from that script, because that is what we want to do. And that plan we want to be able to hit the ground running year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of the things we say to ourselves is, what would happen if we all did the right thing in these first 5 years, So if somebody comes with a contract, a road contract, we don't accept bribes, but we do the right thing. What would happen to our nation? I think we'd be miles ahead, and that's what we are looking at.
Wonderful.
I'm very sure that you...
Yeah, I think the
I was
country
going to say, I'm very
seen,
sure you want to know who
Yeah.
Sorry?
Okay, let me bring the question, then you can answer it together with your thoughts. The nation has seen that, for example, New Heritage Party is a founder member of the United Kwacha Alliance. There was a breakaway, others formed Tonse Alliance. There was another movement, the Zambia We Want, which was also some form of alliance but transformed itself into a political party. Then recently, in the Petauke and Lumezi by-election, for the first time we saw personalities across all these alliances come together. And you came together to form what I think was being called United Opposition Front. Is there hope that the various political parties, those that are not in alliances, those that are in alliances, can come together under the United Opposition Front? Is that feasible without disclosing strategy and without disclosing your details to the enemy? Probably you can just speak to that.
Yes. One of the things that is very, very clear is that Zambians want us to come together. And I think that is the logical thing to do under, in the circumstances. Because if we don't come together, we shall just be a disparate set of people. There are people who support ULP and they won't support any other party. There are people who support PF and they won't support anyone else. There are people who support New Heritage Party and they won't. Do you know what I'm saying? Each one of us has got followers. And if we are selfish, if we are selfish, we are going to continue along that trajectory. But if we come together, we are bringing our members together. So apart from the fact that people have been calling for us to unite, it's also the logical thing to do. So what happened is that we started meeting before and formed the United Kwacha Alliance. Unfortunately, we did break up. United Kwacha Alliance and Tonse Alliance. And then there were other political parties outside. But the principle still stands that we need to come together. Now, if you remember, former President ECL was even telling his people and said, don't attack the United Kwacha Alliance people, UKA, because at some point we will need to come and work together. And this is what happened. You saw as we started having these meetings in what is called the United Opposition Front, or or United Front. We are now calling it United Front because when we get into government, we won't be opposition. So what's the point of calling ourselves opposition? So the United Front, we have been meeting with the Tonse Alliance, the parties that are in UKA, Socialist Party, UNIP, Zambia We Want. I hope I haven't left it. I think I've left it. George Kunda's, Honorable Kunda's party, and one other, I'm very sure. But anyway, so we've been meeting with all of these, and this is how we are going to progress. Now, there are some parties that have not come to work with us. Well, yesterday you had Kasonde Mwenda. I think he has opted to stay out. I'll tell you who else I left out. Andy Ford Banda, Mayele Banda, his PAC party, he's part of us. But Kasonde Mwenda is not with us at the moment. I'm saying at the moment because we are still trying to bring people in. Citizens First is not with us at the moment. Leadership Movement, and there are some other parties. But the big parties, they are either in Tonse, in UKA, or these other ones that I've mentioned. We are all talking. So let's see where it goes. Please keep us in prayers because we really have to do this for the Zambians, not for ourselves, but for the Zambians. For Zambia and for the Zambians.
The burden, you can feel it, the burden that you carry as members of the opposition on behalf of the people of Zambia is immense. You must have seen the argument from the opposition. It doesn't matter whether you expose their corruption, whether you expose their misrule, whether you expose their failures. They have one answer. By the way, what can we do? There's no opposition. Is there no opposition?
There is. Only singers, they want to advance that argument that there is no opposition. The opposition is there. We are working under very difficult conditions, extremely difficult conditions. You know we can't hold rallies, okay?
Yeah.
Therefore, for me to reach people, it's radio, TV, Facebook, social media. So it's not easy, and you can't just go and have meetings. People, they might even come and pick you up. Zambia has become a police state, unfortunately, and these are some of the things that we have to reverse. The opposition is there, and I think that Zambians need to start valuing the opposition, because without the opposition, our situation would be, as a country, would be worse than it is, because opposition sort of temper or the excess of the government. Even the government, they do take into account what they do, because they know that the opposition will be there to oppose. Opposition is there to offer checks and balances, and it's for that reason. And by the way, opposition are not paid. Doing this because we love our nation. No one is coming to say, Chishala, here's whatever. And, you know, we do this because we love this nation. On my, you know, my part, I would like to see that Zambia changes or starts to going in the right trajectory before I die. I would really like to see that. Then I would feel fulfilled. Because we can't all be failures at governing this nation. We have to succeed and make a difference for our children and our children's children. We must hand over a nation that does things differently and is able to beneficiate Zambians. You know, how on earth are we going to explain to God our levels of poverty when He's given us so much wealth? How? You know, what are we going to say to our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren? They'll say, Mwalipena, you know, you had so much going for you. Why didn't you do anything about it? And because of that, we are working on certain, like I said before, our manifestos, so that we can change the way things are done to benefit Zambians. Zambians must benefit, and there are a number of areas that we would like to look into to ensure that Zambians begin to benefit.
I love the idea of harmonizing or bringing to the fore common interests in your various party manifesto. Like you are trying to align policies, probably priority policies, that then can be pursued by the new government, despite that you are individual political parties with individual political aspirations. I think that is a commendable issue, you know, for you who's in the professional space, as an auditor, as an accountant, and as a manager and director. It brings me to the fore of our national documents. You know, if our documents were truly national, like the, you know, third 3-year midterm review, our 5-year national planning, our vision 2030, if they were truly national, we would not need any manifesto, because then those would have become our underlying documents, where all parties aspire to develop our country on those common documents. But those documents are treated as a political party in power document. And as soon as a new government comes in, it changes its priorities, begins to implement the manifesto. We'll be opening lines on the hour at 21, just to allow you to take a few phone calls. We'll not let you stay very long. We have to respect it's late for you, and you know you have gone to the office to do this broadcast. So it's important that we allow you to leave, but we'll open phone lines on the hour to take many, you get a view of our callers and what they are thinking about the United Front, you, the opposition, coming together and restoring democracy for our country. Coming to President Hakainde Hichilema, can the opposition mobilize to unseat him in 2026? Further, if you were to beat him, would he accept results with what he's doing at Parliament, what he's doing at ECZ, what he's doing with the courts? Are you hopeful that you can first deliver the win and that win can be accepted?
The man is I don't know whether to call him an enigma. As to whether he would accept or not, remains to be seen. The thing is this: we've had successive presidents accepting the results, and it would be unfortunate if he were not to accept the results. But I'm not in a position to judge whether he would accept or he wouldn't accept. But it would be unfortunate if he did not accept the results of the elections.
Wonderful, wonderful. And can the opposition unseat Hichilema? Clearly, our people are not happy with him. But someone compared, sorry to use this term, that sometimes you find a dissatisfied spouse, but a decision to leave the marriage is another big undertaking. Do we have Zambians who are dissatisfied with President Hakainde Hichilema, but may find it difficult to leave to support him and shift to the opposition?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
I did an analogy that someone was pushing an argument. The argument was that in a marriage, you'll have a dissatisfied spouse, a spouse who complains every day. But again and again, you still find them in that marriage, sometimes many years later. Is it the same as Zambians at a stage where they're just complaining, but they will not leave the UPND? What is your feeling of the country?
Whether people are just complaining from, as we say in Zambia, without? Is that your question?
My question is, you can feel the disaffection by our people. You can feel the disgruntledness by our people. But will it be? Yeah. Will it drive them to leave the UPND and vote for the opposition? What is your feeling for, what is your feeling? What are you getting?
Okay. I was in Northwestern Province a week ago. I was there for about a week. And that is somebody's bedroom. People are groaning. They are moaning. If you go into the compounds, people are complaining. Go to the copper belt, people are complaining. I know that there are plans afoot to make the country more palatable, if you like. But Zambians are so fed up. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that from a survey. I haven't done a scientific survey. But you can sometimes I get on buses, mini buses, I just listen to the conversations there. And people are complaining everywhere. Sometimes somebody will say nice things about the government and the situation that we are in, and everybody will turn to them very upset. So they feel on the ground is that unless there is rigging, this is the feel on the ground. I'm not saying this is what it will be, but the indications are that he's lost a lot of ground. That is the indication. He's lost a lot of ground. They've lost a lot of ground. As for the MPs, people are saying they even feel more inclined to the president than to the MPs. But like I said, it remains to be seen. I'm not a prophet. What we have to do is to work hard. The people at the moment seem to have decided, but it's up to the opposition to lose this election. If we work hard, we can carry the day, but we have to work hard. There's a lot of work, especially as we are coming together. There needs to be a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice. But I would also like to say this to Zambians, as non-politicians, we also need to play our role. We can't leave this to the politicians. It's also about Zambians, each Zambian telling their neighbor, look, we need to do this. We need to vote this way. So people must play a role, encourage one another to register as voters, encourage one another to get NRCs and register as voters, and to turn out in large numbers on that day to vote. Otherwise, we shall continue like this for another 5 years. And woe unto us if we have to do that.
Sorry, President. It's a callers they are in. Let's take the first call. You begin to have a feel of these callers. Callers, please speak louder and tell us your name and where you are calling us from. We are hosting Mama Chishala Kateka, President of New Heritage Party.
Thank you, Mwamba. Allow me to say, let me be called Mr. X.
Mr. X, make your contributions.
Thank you. Mwamba, I appreciate the way you select your speakers and the leaders that come on this program. But I want to tell you this. It is important to know that in as much as our opposition leaders are saying the ground is fed up, I think they haven't gone down to speak to the people on the ground. That's number one. They are all on social media, and as we are talking now, there are people that are giving people money to vote for a particular party today. A case in point, there are a flood of senior politicians in the rural areas giving people money to vote for a particular party. And this is not happening by our colleagues in the opposition. The opposition are talking in the armchair, thinking that things will just fall in place. Sorry. The urban setup that used to vote in the past is undecided because they don't know who to vote for today. But the rural areas, if you look at what the CDF is doing, despite the challenges that the CDF is doing, money is exchanging hand with somebody who has never had money. And that person feels, this is what I want. I just want on my own to have something that will take me to the next day. The loans that have been given by CDF, despite them not being paid back to government or to be a revolving fund, people are happy that the government is giving us money. And the politicians that are on the ground today are giving people money in cash. And now what worries me is our opposition leaders, one, they haven't yet decided who to flank, which is sometimes a good strategy because you don't want to mess that person with the current administration, which can create any cases. But who is going to the ground to speak to the people that get money, eat the money that these politicians are giving you, but please remember that the next 5 years to live the way you have lived the past 4 years would be hell on earth. That's a message that should go to the people. And the people want to see who is going to take us to the promised land. We have experienced this government, but who is taking us there? They don't know. Who is speaking to the people in the rural areas? Nobody.
Thank you.
Mobilization of political parties is in town. Yes, but in the rural areas, who has spoken to the person who was representing us in Lumezi, for example? Nobody. We need to go back and speak to Walinkuli in Lumezi, so that he feels supported. There are a lot of people out there that are lost. The only thing is, if somebody can give me something, it's okay for me and my family.
Thank you. So, thank you very much for
these
that.
Presidents that you are inviting, let them be practical. Let them not just be in towns. Let's have a strategy that goes down to the people.
Thank you very much.
But it needs people to do it. Thank you very much.
But as caller should not underestimate the role of social media. It's a very, very powerful tool. With this mobile money, everyone nearly has some form of a phone where they can tune in. But of course, it doesn't discount that you have to mobilize. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening. Yes, she can hear you.
My concern is that my worry is what has happened to the PF. Because last time you were with Honorable, I don't know whether it's KBF or someone, you mentioned some numbers concerning the voters in Zambia. We look at 2021 elections. UPND got, I think, 2.8, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Our EC got 1.8. So those figures put together should be coming to 4 point something million. So these people, what they have done is that they have rendered the PF useless in the sense that PF has got no president at the moment who can contest an election. So meaning we people, the members of the PF, we are more or less like we have got no one to follow. We are waiting upon the leadership of the PF and possibly the alliance leaders to come up with one person that we can support. I'm also aware that within the alliances, there are people who are targeting the 1.8 million voters of PF in 2021, which I know now has increased maybe even to 4 million based on the performance of UPND. We need serious guidance as voters. This is my worry, that if you people don't do a proper thing, you find that most of us PF, we may boycott to vote to vote in the next election. So I'm urging to you people, but President Kateka, now and then, remove selfishness out of the situation. Form something strong that we can switch, because I know the UPND government will not allow us as PF to have a president on the ballot paper. We know this one. And this is why they are making you people on the Cairo road to dance to their tune, though, because they want us to get confused. And the one thing that I know, UPND are very stingy people. No one will follow them because they've got nothing to give to the people of Zambia. Even by you will see what is happening. So the best way, Chishala Kateka, please give us a person that we are going to back as PF. We are already intact. I can tell you, I have got friends who voted for UPN. Maybe I can say 10 people. Only one is still talking about the UPN. The rest are disappointed. So I know even our numbers have grown. So please, President Kateka, Navanenu, do the right thing. Otherwise, we are going to have serious problems if UPN wins in 2026. That's my submission.
Thank you very much. The number is buzzing. Let's see how many we can take. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, Ambassador Mwamba. It's Samuel.
Samuel, make your contributions. She can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, good to see you and good to hear from you. We are happy with what you're bringing forward. But as the opposition, we are a bit worried. You are not moving as quickly as you can, though you've said ultimately it will pan out, but it's not good enough. I'm afraid you are not in the gear you are supposed to be. That's number one. So number two, hopefully maybe this is a backdoor or closed room meetings that you probably do have with your colleagues. These people are as low as law can be. They are gutter people. Because one thing that you need to start realizing and trying to run permutations of what they can do and try to get solutions before the 2026 elections. These people, personally, I do believe they're the ones who were gassing people. There could be that scenario that could run around whereby they're gassing people in polling stations. That's number one. That's good enough to get people off being scared to come and vote. That's number one. Number two, they could do Mapatizia formula. They've got people who are mobile to be able, moving around doing such atrocities across the. This is how low these people are, and this is how low the president wants to keep that seat. He is that gutter person. So you have to run permutations of the low level that a low life can do will happen to just to keep that seat.
Thank you, Samuel.
You need to ensure that you have run all the permutations to make sure that you do defend yourselves. Everyone else, we should start now to start telling people they need to defend themselves. Be ready. You can have whatever you want. If they come up with something, you back up with what they've come up with. You have to hit them with what they hit you. If it's just blows, it will be blows. If they come with pangas, they'll need to come with pangas. This is where we are going. And the moment you back up or you back out, they'll rig. That's number one. Number two, they've lined the stupid judges. Some of them are stupid, not all of them, who will back up their idiocy from the courts. That's how low this country has gone. So you will need to ensure that you run all the permutations. They come with guns. I'm afraid there will have to be people with guns. That's how it's going to be. We need this guy out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Some callers are very angry, but that's the state of our country. Let me take about at least 5 callers. We've taken 3 so far. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Zephania, calling from Lusaka.
Yes, Zephania.
How are you, Mwamba? How are you, Madam Kateka, for President?
We are very well.
Thank you. Even though I'm not feeling too well, but when you're talking the matters of the nation, we always want to speak for the nation.
Thank you, Zephania.
What is supposed to be done, the European, they must level the playing field. They can't be a referee, a match commissioner, and a rise man. And this is what they are trying to do in 2026. Now, I love the way you have structured it, Mwamba. Zambia political crisis and the role of opposition and the urgent need to restore democracy and the rule of law. I'll start by asking just a simple question, Kateka. State of affairs. Would you say Zambia is still a democratic state, or we are witnessing the slow death of democracy under the UPND regime? The next question is that, from our perspective, what are the most visible signs that the rule of law has collapsed in Zambia? And the other one is, how do you respond to the citizens who feel more fear than freedom in their own country? The rule of law and institutions. We have seen increasing politicization of state institutions, from the police to the judiciary. What concrete steps must be taken to depoliticize these bodies? Do you think the appointment of the partisan figures in institutions like the Human Rights Commission undermines the public trust? And if so, how can this be reversed? Is there any institution left that you believe still operate independently and check the executive excess? Role of the opposition. What is the biggest internal challenge facing the opposition bloc today, and why has unit been so difficult to achieve despite growing public discontent? Do you believe the opposition is ready to defend the vote?
Zephaniah, now you have 20 questions. Those are 20 questions.
System being introduced behind the closed doors.
Thank you, Zephaniah. Let me take the other calls.
Cause the opposition.
Yeah, sorry, I had to cut Zephaniah. He's got 20 questions for Mama Chishala Kateka. Hello, you are in this series. You are our last caller, so that we can allow Madam Chishala Kateka to answer. Then we'll come back to callers. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
nga chakweva ti vafirwa ukuwamya tonse pf nishi tapali fo tukavumba wainalandire fyo because pf yali mu government kuma rural areas tapali ifibyo fo balekitira abantu ifisuma amakaddazi yali mu town so nomamula mumpanga mu mishi pf yali kweta olubali lumo olwakweva ti abantu bamumishi balekita benefit. So that's why government for yakoserapo kwebati yona ole PF because yali ishiko kwebati abantu bali ba disappointed tuliranda aba mu town tuliranda aba mu mishi abantu bakana ma fertilizer pa tumasaka tumakap I fertilizer bareshita ni capital ya PF bantu bali empowered so ba ramata baleri makale ema capital bakwata ino ishitokura ishitira fertilizer. So nombaba opposition na vena since government yali mina chile chilonganyo ndechitako encourage ba opposition bambira vena na imwe imeni mwesho kwa fwa leno iraine pali ino ishita PF tonse ekitu kwete because konse alikuta structures so it will be very easy ba opposition ngachako bati mwaipa kubantu paka mipokerera na maboko yabita kwa kabeno washa ni okova so na imwe kare ni panshi mumone fe mwala bomba pakwe bati tonse and pf bantu bena strategy ya kuipaya pf and tonse ni shibashi kwe bati tasabai so na imwe mbeni kwa kwana mumone fe mwala study structure fe mwala ikatana abashaka be under tonso pf it's very difficult to organize abantu rural areas abantu balishara nechiraka because mumpanga PF yaishaka then yoro mabapera kona ambya ama police ayasuma ayakurunda popara PF ya shalire yupi okay so stako fe encourage ikare ni panshi muone fo mwala sunge ikunse aratu afwa without tonse nothing we can do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll allow the president to answer the few questions that have come your way, Mama. Let me hand over the microphone back to you so that you can answer the issues that have risen.
Okay, so thank you very much. I wasn't catching the names and some of the questions, but I gave them numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, number one, he was very concerned, or he's very concerned about the rural areas and the strategy relating to the rural areas. He's talking about CDF, how people in the rural areas would receive it and see it as something that is developmental and therefore may people that are living in the rural areas. I want to state that one of the common things that has come from all of these is the call again to unity, where people are asking the parties to work together and come up with the solution, which is very well taken and which is what as opposition we are working upon. Now, when we do meet, you can't just meet and without the head, or when I say the head, I don't mean the one person at the top, but at least the leadership being in place and people understanding what role they are playing. You have to bear in mind that as United Front, I think we've only been meeting, 4 months? And we are progressing towards what the people are asking. And we do need that space, we do need that time to help us to really define ourselves. And only when we define ourselves, and we've given ourselves, by the way, a timeline of when all of this will be done by. And when we do that, we will be going into every part of Zambia, including the rural areas. We are not, we don't think that we should only be in town. I mean, as individual parties, we've traveled across the countries, across the country. Some parties are stronger in one area than in other areas. Some parties have got more membership than others. But at the end of the day, we need to come up with a plan of how we come together so that we stay together. If we are not careful, it's possible that we may not do it well. So we want to do this well. We don't have the luxury of trying, failing and then trying again. We need to succeed from day one going forward. So the people in the rural areas, we will work out a strategy of how we address that. The second person also is concerned. In fact, even the third person is concerned. There's a lot of concern in the country. Now, the concern is that if the opposition do not do this planning and execution well, then the current government will continue in government. Believe me, we intend to put in our best to make sure that we do what needs to be done.
Mr. President, let me quickly take the other questions.
About the fact that the PF
Mr. President,
has no president.
Mr. President, so let me take some questions for you so that you combine quickly with others. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Alex.
Yeah.
I'm calling from Chingola.
Alex, make your contributions quickly, brief. I want the president to get as many questions as possible.
All right, thank you. How are you, President Kateka? Without a doubt, what you are suggesting is good to engage as opposition, to engage government or the powers that be on the composition of ECZ. I really need your full concept of how you're going to approach this, because these are guys who are not ready. They've put all these things together to ensure that the election is doctored in a certain way, putting their people, cadres and people who were caught in the act trying to change the election results previously. So how much can we trust the process that they are going to accept your input into how the election in 2020 should be held? Because I'm not seeing that these guys are not ready to be in the office of power. So I don't know how you're going to approach it as opposition. You are in a very vulnerable situation. Thank you, Mr. Mwamba and President Kateka.
Thank you very much. Someone is still concerned about the appointment of Brown Kasaro as CEO of ECZ and Mwangala Zalomis and McDonald Chipenzi, and they're asking what you're going to do about this. Is there a practical approach to this? Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Mute your other device.
Good evening. Okay, good evening, Honorable Mwamba.
Good evening.
Good evening, Excellency. My name is Dr. Jedidiah Kundandlovu. of the Eco Forum government. I'm the president of the Eco Forum. I would like just to make a contribution because especially that much of what we are talking about is in line with what we want to get rid of. But we rarely talk about what we want to bring in. And I see, like you said earlier on, that Zambians can complain, and just like a dissatisfied wife, somebody that is not satisfied in the home, the fact that she's complaining doesn't mean that she's ready to move on until such a time that there's a deliberation, as well as there's something that looks concrete that they can move towards. Then you will expect them to move. And I've seen that. We equally, the opposition political leaders in the country, we are so much complaining about the way things are, but we don't seem to be working with a design that begins to introduce how things ought to be. As I always say, that societies, ours included, can and urgently need to be improved. And in order for that to happen, we need to consider three things. First, we need to consider what we want. Number two, we need to consider what we need to focus on. Number three, thinking systematically. So now we are so much more talking about what we want to get rid of. And psychologically speaking, every time you focus on what you want to get rid of, you end up to it. And at the end of the day, that's how we've ended elections, because there is so much negativity that we are focusing on, and we are failing to come from a place where we can give people hope and tell them the fact that it is dark, you've got to look forward to the light. That is just my contribution, and I know that the Honorable President will be able to take this up and speak to the hope that Zambians ought to have, instead of us focusing on what is not working. What is it that we are bringing to the stage that will work, not in comparison? Remember, when you are building systems, you don't build systems in comparison with the other system that is failing. You build a system that is totally not going to be in comparison, but a system that is going to speak to the liberation of our people, as well as to making the lives of our people better than ever.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much. They are asking for solution. Do you have solutions? Do you have solutions? Hello, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from, and mute the other device. Endita.
Chishala Kateka. Just one quick one. Why me Adi Luba? Why me Mwana Wenu? What action have you done so that why me Amonike? This is my question. Thank you.
Oh, we have two people that have formally disappeared at the hands of the police. The young man Francis Kapwepwe and a Chingola businessman Tony Konga Sakashenda also disappeared in January after the police picked him up. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Mr. Mwamba.
Good evening.
I would rather remain anonymous.
Mr. Anonymous, make your contribution.
Yeah, I've only got, I want to engage you a bit. If it, I know the battle is stiff, but if you have a son and some guys, what they never shoot pasana, this is a nation that has got laws and rules, regulations to follow. Now, if only people can, afford to remove KK, so what you take for the sana makanga de bare pushaban to bare panga statement to come here poshani that why mafia to move the out of aya they feel 2026 in which they are where so essentially like to Salaland and can struggle quite out of no poshani. Wabantu bare for kwimi na batambi yo kuchita are fed up of whatever is happening in the nation. And then the politicians are for us, they never can benefit, leaving the people voting for them. But we never change. This is the time to become one. This is the time to foster a unity. Nothing but if abantu natufula omwenso opo tuibirira nipakumufumya boy so yeye kinagoba yo akapapota ekyalo kyakwe asyalirwe musi tekine bose bale kumapo naye nokyakakumapo. I rest my case, sir.
You've got a very hopeful Zambian. He says, Alea, he has to go. It doesn't matter what he does. He has to go and respect the will of the people. Mama, let me allow you to answer some of those questions, and you can combine with the previous ones.
Okay, so let me start with Vandlovu's submission about the solutions. You recall that earlier on, I said that one of the things we want to do first is to come up with a blueprint of where we should be going as a nation, which we shall then present to the people. We have this, but I can't speak on behalf of the United Front yet because we have to agree that whole plan. I can speak as New Heritage Party because I know that we've been talking about issues of land. You've seen this thing that they are putting through in Parliament where they want to give powers to the registrar to be able to strike off a title deed. One of the things Zambians must take keen interest in is the issue of land, because if we don't have land, then we are nobody. So as New Heritage Party, we believe that Zambians should be given land once they attain a certain age, and they should have access to land. So the issue of the mines, so there are various solutions that we would like to talk to that will help to empower Zambians. But as United Front, that still needs to come into place, and which is why I didn't go into detail with regard to that. It has to be agreed by all parties before it can be presented to the people. But within the next month, we will be seeing that sort of thing. We are not the type of people that will come and start campaigning on empty promises. I think I also said that before. We want to have this thing that is agreed by all parties, and then we can deliver it to the Zambians, and that will be a message of hope, because it will be very contrary to what we are seeing now. Alex talked about what can we do with regard to ECZ, and he's very right. I think I can tie that in with the caller number 4, the one who had 24 questions, and was saying that, are we a police state? The answer is yes. As New Heritage Party, we had warned some time ago, maybe in 3 statements, that we were sleepwalking into a police state. This is what we are seeing now. You can't do anything. The whole nation is weaponized. So you find Parliament is weaponized, the judiciary is weaponized, ECZ is weaponized, the police and the law enforcement agencies, they are all weaponized. However, there is no system on earth which will live forever. Even this one will live forever. I think someone mentioned the Kaunda days, and then we just thought it was impossible to come out of that system. But that system was even stronger than this one. These are man's plans. What they are doing are man's plans. But God has got his own way of doing things and disarming what they have armed. So we must not lose hope, and we must continue to fight, because we have to. So they may resist, but at the end of the day, you cannot resist a plan whose time has come. So what is going to happen in 2026 is that their removal, their time has come, and it will happen. So of those many, many questions, are we democratic? We are not. We're not a democratic state as things stand. We have seen how ECZ acts. We have seen what happens in by-elections. There's a lot of vote buying now. You saw Maximoe the other day boasting about the mingalatos that they play in by-elections. Those things work during by-elections, but they don't work in general elections. The country is just way too vast for that.
Thank you, Mr. President. I can see there are more questions. Let's just take the last 5 questions. Then, Mr. President, Mr. President, there are still more questions coming. Let me take the last 5 questions, then we provide the answers, then we wind up. At least you'll have had a feel of what Zambians are saying about this. Caller, you are online already. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Mwamba. I hope you can hear me clearly. And thank you so much, President Chishala. I think your name is not Kateka. It should be Kateka, isn't it?
She'll answer that. She'll answer that later.
Yeah, because somehow I know her from somewhere, but I'm not going to say it now. But it should be Kateka, not Kateka. Madam Kateka, I'm so excited. You're a true leader. You're talking about unity. Madam President, Zambia is at the crossroads. Zambia is in a crisis. And if we are not united as an opposition, we are not going to dislodge. Nobody should lie to themselves. We should join together, or else we are going to, die as fools. I for one, I was a member of the UPND in the diaspora. We raised money for them. We helped him. And then he make a 360 degrees U-turn. We are ready to work with you. And what I wanted to say is, when you come together and you start doing your plans and policies, you need to include all Zambians. When I mean all Zambians, because you need to show leadership from the beginning. Running a nation is a collaboration and a collective responsibility of all stakeholders in Zambia. The law association, civil society, the church, the Zambians, including the Zambians in the diaspora. We helped. If you know about the 10-point plan, was done by one of our friends in the diaspora for the UPND. So the diaspora needs to be involved. Do you know that Israel was developed by the diaspora? Rwanda has been helped so much by the diaspora because of the exposure that we have here in the diaspora. And then I'm not going to ask you a question. I just want to talk about a few points. So we pray that all the political parties come together. And that's what Zambians want. And then once that is done, don't rush into choosing who is going to be the front runner or who is because this government is going to mess up that person. So start as a united front and start working, raising money, other things that can be done if you guys are united. And don't say needs to come in there and work with everybody else. And the other thing I wanted to say is before you do anything, you need to come up with a social contract. between yourselves. How, how you're going to work together once you get into government, so that whoever is going to be the president does not change his mind. You also need to have a social contract with the Zambian people on almost all the major sectors of the economy. What are you going to do with mining? And mining, I can assure you, is an important thing in the minds of Zambians, because Zambians are saying we've never benefited from our God-given minerals. And there is no nation, my sister, in the world that has developed without harnessing their God-given resources. And then, my sister, Zambia does not need, this is what we shouldn't do again. Body will fix it. No, Zambia does not need one strong president or intelligent president. Zambia needs a leader. Zambia needs strong institutions, independent, autonomous institutions. Zambia needs institutions that have integrity. By the way, my sister, the corruption that we complain about is a symptom of bad leadership. So what we need is good leadership and governance more than anything. Then, my sister, you talked about the powers of the president. That's one of the biggest problems Zambia has. And this problem started on the 15th of December, 1972, when Zambia was declared a one-party state. So you need to work on this, because the HH I know, I used to speak to every day, is not the HH I know who is in State House. Because he went there and realized that he's got so much power. My sister, how can you have somebody appointing the chairman of the anti-corruption and also appoint the director general of the anti-corruption? That's madness. The president needs to appoint the chairman, and then the chairman with other people assembles the board. And then the board appoints the director general. We need to work on that. Otherwise, and the other way of reducing the powers of the president is through devolution. Maybe Zambia needs to think about a federal state. The UK is a federal state. So you need to devolve power into the provinces and into the districts. So that even if one province is not doing, 9 provinces are not doing well, one province is doing well because it's got leadership there. And then we need to look at reforms, such as, we need to look at reforms, such as we need to separate the state from the government. When you look at the economies that are doing well, that's one of the way of reducing the powers of the president. Singapore, people say, no, we're going to copy what Singapore is doing. Singapore, the people elect the president, who is the head of the state. And then the president appoints the prime minister. But that prime minister, as a qualification, is in the constitution. And he has to be an independent. He shouldn't be a member of the political party. And that prime minister becomes the head of the government. He attends cabinet. He goes to parliament. The president does not attend parliament. And this is why countries just like in the UK, the king is the head of state. The prime minister is the head of government. So that prime minister or president of Singapore does not have absolute power, because he's only the head of government. And the other thing, my sister, judges. How do you have a president appointing the judges and also appointing the chairman of the Judicial Service Commission, plus the director of the Judicial Service Commission, even the administrative manager? So all these things, you need to look at them, especially institutional integrity. Nobody talks about that. We talk about all these things. Those are the things you need to talk about. I rest my case.
Thank you very much. Mama, you must have noticed that I gave Chulufia from the United Kingdom a lot of time. He's a very key voice. He mobilizes the key voices in the diaspora. And they're there. They're even pledging to raise funds for you. Let's answer this. For callers, I am sorry. Let's allow Mama to answer the questions. Madam President, answer the questions, and then we begin to wind up. and then we begin to wind up.
Okay. I'll see what I can answer, because there are so many that have not yet been answered.
Yes.
So I'll start with Bachilufia because, and work backwards. Bachilufia, we are trying our level best to not be selfish and say, I have to be the president, it has to be me, and this one, it has to be. At this time, we are thinking of Zambia. This is about the nation. And we realize that Zambians, we've gone backwards in terms of beneficiation. We have not benefited from our country whatsoever. And we want to see if we can make that difference. Now, the only way we can do it is through a lot of what you have described and more. You know, the mining sector. I was talking about the areas that we want to look at. I talked about land, I talked about mining, agriculture, manufacturing, all these things. We definitely need to do reforms in terms of governance. There's so much to do that there's enough work for all of us, and even others who are not here should plug in, and that's why I'm saying, don't just leave this to the politicians. Please offer your services so that we come up with a Zambia that we want to see, the Zambia that we all know is possible. Rachlufi, I think we've got each other's numbers. I think let's keep in touch. I know that most of the people that have been phoning in are really concerned about this unity thing, and they are saying Tonse must make sure, we must make sure that Tonse is part of this. I believe that Zambians, the ordinary Zambians, not the politicians, have got a role to call people in the political arena and say, look, you need to be part of this. Why are you staying out? We must challenge people. Why are you staying out of this? Do you really think you can win by yourself? That sort of thing. Why do you want to split the votes? Why do you want to have such a thing on your head? Why are you not working with the others? I think that it's very, very important that citizens also take part in this thing of bringing us together. You see, even as opposition, we are trying all of this. There comes a time when you just feel, Nafileka, things are so tough. It's not easy to bring all these political parties together. But because Zambians have been calling for us to come together, even our members are putting pressure on us to come together. So one of the things that I would like to say is that within the next month or two, you will begin to see that we've made a lot of progress in terms of the leadership as well as the flag bearer. Yeah. Is there anything, Ambassador, that you particularly want me to answer?
No, I'm of the view that you can help us with the closing remarks. I think you've given a clear picture of the state of the country. You've given us insights into what you are doing as New Heritage Party and also as members of the opposition, including the United Front. And you have proposed solutions. You are calling on Zambians. This can't be a task on your own. This is a task for Zambians. You have to collaborate with Zambians. Just give me your last closing remarks, then we allow you to rest. And, I thank you for this great work that you have done today.
I really want to speak to us as Zambians. We have this mentality that only others can come up with solutions. Even when we have solutions to something, you know, it's actually possible for you to reach out to any of us in the opposition, and whether it's a matter of a technical nature relating to mining or agriculture or something, so that, or just offer yourself and say, look, I'm available to input into this area. I'm a governance expert. I'm a mining expert, and I would like to offer my services. This task that we are undertaking is huge. It's vast. Firstly, somebody mentioned the fact that we are at a crossroads. We are, as a nation, we are in a crisis, actually. We are in a serious crisis, and it should take all of us working together to come up with solutions. Don't expect the politicians to know everything. We don't know everything. There are things that we need others with expertise to help us and say, this is the way it should be done. While we are politicking, you are technically, you see what I mean? Please reach out to any of the political parties. Each one of us has a role. You remember in pre-independence, Zambians were involved. Some people offered accommodation to those that went out to canvass for votes for UNIP. Others would cook, others would provide accommodation, others would provide for money. If we can all work together somehow and make the work of the politicians easier, but as it is, we are not making the work of the politicians easy. We are leaving it to them to do everything. And that's why when they come in, they feel that they own this country. When they don't, this country belongs to all of us. Zambia it's the only country we have, and we've got to turn it around, like I said, for our posterity. The time when people want to be starrings in this country is over. It's time for people to realize that as a collective, we've got to make this country into the Zambia that we want to see.
Oh, thank you very much. I'd like to thank you.
That's my
thank you
appeal.
for giving us so much time. I'll send some people asking for your number. I'll forward them that you can follow up, and you can call them. I'll forward the number. My role is just to thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity that you've given me. To our dear viewers, thank you very much that we're on other platforms. Thank you for participating in this program, and thank you for the huge turnout and your concern and your participation in this process. This is our country. I think we all aspire that it be a better country for all that live in it. And Honorable Chishala Kateka found time to give insights into what the work she's doing as New Heritage Party president, the work she's doing with the opposition, and then the work, and preparations they are doing to prepare our country and the opposition for the elections in 2026. Hope you saw those insights. We have other leaders lined up this week. Just tune in and hear their concerns. I think the role is for this platform to help you, give insights to what the opposition are doing, because clearly there is disaffection around President Hakainde Hichilema, and the platform gives you the alternative. What are their policies? What are they doing to come together to see that we have a better Zambia after 2026? So until we have another wonderful program, God bless you and God bless our country. Shalom, shalom.
Leero bwaca bakamba mu kyalo ky'esu kya Zambia ekyaweka Njoy. Abantu baafa bakamba kule mu nfumbwe. More than 20 people balebe pati ni babiri. Bagamba. Fish to arufyanye. People have died. Mumino yabakapokola. The police killing people. Why? In the same government, Mwamba, abductions have happened. Mwamba, if you're not with them, it's either you're dead or you're in prison. This government, you're going to change, big man. Fish to arfia na pakubika mofes. Fish to arfia. Why me? Missing. Achani ruba mwaicho and dishonor. Where is why me? HH, tell us with your government, where is why me? Give us why me. Justice for why me, big man. Wachila mo HH. Wala tupwisha bega kutupwisha Mwamba. Katwale kya kulanda big man. Why you think? Maana watata. Zambia tuwasevana. Mwamba. Wanesa tuwakweni. Mujala chetu. Ichi ya Zambia. Tuwamona mwempwa. Tuwamona mwempwa. Nama abductions Mwamba. Muteko tuwaleta. Wadulete lama amazala mush. No you kateka. Wala ipompa tudeka. No you kateka. Apa nomba bane. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Wakuvota bane. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Wakufuatika. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Wakufuatika fuatika. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Wenyu tayakwa fwe. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Aikona man. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Itayakwa fwe. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Yafuliati kwenyu. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mayona batata. Mayona batata. Bayuthi. Tentwisuli amenso. Batusendela nomba batwipaila na hope Yesu. Edika chagwalungu watubela tinani mikwatila plan B. Nomba tuwadishiba plan B aba mmino ya kualesa. Bantu banga abalafa mu kyalo kyesu kya Zambia. Nibanga abantu abala abducted mu kyalo kyesu kya Zambia. Bambire kuli jeje banda. Nibanga abantu abala ba mu prison. Abena chitotela chilangwa. Bonze baba prison n'entunguru shina shimbi. Muri one government ya kwa HH. Abantu naba famweleza. Aikata nomba baikata na kuyetika chakwa lungu atukwatile plan B. Apa kubo vya mufulo big man. Mufulo pa mufulo. Bilabine batsendela yetika chakwa lungu. Apa nomba bane. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Wakuvota bane. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Wakufuatika. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Wakufuatika fuatika. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Wenyu tayakwa fwe. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Aikona man. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Itayakwa fwe. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. Yafuliati kwenyu. Mufulo pa mufulo. Mufulo pa mufulo. HH does not mean well for Mother Zambia. Zambia to Asebana, this is not the Mother Zambia that we were left with by our ancestors, our forefathers who fought so hard to liberate us. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, Nalumino Mundia, Mama Julia Chikamoneka, Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe, they fought so hard to put this country on the map, to put this country where it is today. No man would destroy this country because we believe in unity. Bamayona batata bapunda to one Zambia, one nation, and we shall together we will change, and we are going to change this government. My name is Blaze Zambia.
Because it affects the very fiber of our very own constitutional democracy, in which we fight for space to be heard, in which we fight for space for our dignity. We fight for space for coexistence. The assault on the patriotic front, mistakenly by the UPND and its leadership, was that it was a destruction of a political party which was so much hated by all Zambians, as they keep on telling you, is a political party that went on rampage, killing people, slaughtering everybody in the bus stop, slaughtering people on Cairo Road, as the president has put it more often than not. And it's out of that mistaken belief that people voted PF out because they hated PF and they voted ECL. But here I am. I was an ardent supporter of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. I was his strong shoulder to lean on because we had shared values. We had a vision for this country after PF. We needed police reforms. We needed judicial reforms. We needed civil service reforms. We needed parastatal state-owned enterprise reforms. We needed a genuine national endeavor in which all men and women of this land will come together under a new dawn. And that's why it was called a new dawn. We needed to reset and start afresh. Many things were meant to change, not to remain as a status quo. But it came to pass hardly 6-7 months after they formed government. Many of us, Emeritus Archbishop Ompundu, Gilbert Temba, Bob Stinga, Ernest Mwansa, KBF, those who were with us realized these guys were actually envying the Patriotic Front. And what they did, we didn't expect it. Otherwise, we were not going to support them. PF had unrecognized cadres, unrecognized by the law. The cadres in the markets, the cadres in the bus stops, and the cadres in the compounds. They shifted cadreism to institutions of governance. They had a cadre speaker. They had a cadre ECZ chairperson. They unfortunately went and chose a person we respected so much and made him Chief Justice. He had a career that is unmatched in this country, who they have literally destroyed, and he can't face the people. Today, the justice system has collapsed. And this is how you find 2 years down the line, PF matters cannot be heard in the court. That's not normal. That's not normal. That is an arranged crisis by this new Dawn administration. And going forward, one of the things you must mark, because 2026 general election, they will lose. Even if Ms. Hakainde Hichilema had to stand up and stand against me, a non-entity, he will lose. The question is, will he hand over power like ECL did?